We we covered up to verse number 78, Mandukya Karika, the last chapter. It was pretty important for us because it says, verse number 75, 78, which we completed, was once you realize that there is an ultimate absence of causality, cause and effect relation. That's what is important. The world runs on cause and effect, and the spirituality, the ultimate state of spirituality is beyond any cause and effect. And that's why when Vedanta says that you cannot attain God through action, that is, by doing selfless activity, by doing worship, by studying scriptures, and even by meditation. What they mean to say that there is no causality. The common understanding of cause and effect that we have in this world doesn't hold in the other one. That's very, very, very important. So when you think that if you do noble deeds here, noble deeds as you understand, noble deeds as taught to you by the society, noble deeds as some of the scriptures say. No, these things cannot lead you to freedom. They may lead you to heaven, but heaven belongs to the realm of cause and effect. Once you realize it, what's the catchword? Freedom doesn't lie in becoming. Freedom means to be. When you act, when you think, when you pray, when you meditate, whatever you do, you're trying to become something. Freedom lies in being what you are and withdrawing from what you have already become. Now, this idea is continued in verse number 79, which is very interesting that this has a spiritual implication and it also has implication for our day-to-day life. Like we know that we keep on chasing illusions. Now, why we say chasing illusions? Because when the thing goes away from us, we say, oh, it was all Maya, it was all illusion. It's very common in India. And now, of course, the West also has caught up with this expression Maya, where they think that anything that slips away from your hands is Maya. You ran after a wealth and you find that either you never acquired wealth or it slipped through your fingers. You invested a lot in friendship, in certain kind of relation, and you find that if you are outright cheated, you were outright rejected. And then you suddenly feel that, well, it was all chimera, it was all illusion. Now, naturally, the question comes people will say, why did you run? And particularly when they say that, when you knew that such and such person is like this, he or she, "Now, why did you run after this person?" You don't have the answer. Sometimes you think that in the heart of hearts, well, he might have behaved that way with others, but he won't do that to me. When you think of wealth, you think that Mother Lakshmi, who is the goddess of wealth, she doesn't stay at any particular place and she doesn't stay at any place forever. But she will because I am her worshipper. Then you find that no, she didn't stay even with you. For example, today, America is the nation of wealth. Will Lakshmi be there forever? No way. Even if they try, Goddess will not. Think of India. India was so rich. There was a time. Think of England. It was so rich. Well, because in our mythology, Mother Lakshmi rides an owl. An owl is considered pretty wise in the Western culture. But in India, Owl is equated with stupidity. So wherever the owl takes Mother Lakshmi, and wealth and stupidity, somehow they are directly proportional. Abhut aviniveshat hi sadrishetat pravartate. So why do we keep running after these illusions? Why do we keep running after Shimra? This is explained in verse number 79. It is both from this aspect of spirituality and our day-to-day life. Abhut avinivesh. Avinivesh is attachment. When you get attached with what? Abhut. That which does not exist. Chasing mirage. Mirage doesn't exist. And yet we keep running after these mirages. Sadrishetat pravartate. So once you become identified with an illusion, start running after it. Bastu abhavam sab udvaiva nissangam vinivartate. And once you know that it does not have any substance in it, you move away from it. The English translation is beautiful. On account of attachment to unreal objects. The word here is abhut. Abhut means that which does not even have existence. The mind pursues such objects. Mind is a pretty stupid thing. You know why? Mind cannot distinguish from the real from fake, the real from the fake. It cannot distinguish time. And that's why in Vedic literature, in early Vedic literature, you don't find mention of time as present, past, future. In Indian languages, the word for yesterday and tomorrow both is kal. Time is, there is no distinction. Mind cannot distinguish. Mind cannot differentiate between an object, a word, and an idea. Mind is actually very stupid. Very stupid. And if you give it an occasion to be stupid, it will really act stupidly. It just needs an excuse to act stupid, and it acts stupidly. Consequently, it cannot distinguish from the higher truth to lower truth. It will just run. And that's why buddhi, which is another aspect of the mind, buddhi, intellect. In English, of course, these words are used in a common way, but when it comes to Hindu psychology, these words have special meaning. One aspect of the mind is intellect, which when fortified is a very important one, which when made extremely strong, it keeps the mind under check. Because mind cannot distinguish the real from the fake, it will keep on running after fake, particularly because there is no rebuffing from the fake. The real may even rebuff you, but fake cannot rebuff you. Because you live in the world of imagination. That's where people who are into daydreaming, they do not become great achievers. Because when you daydream, when you keep on thinking of your success, you are imagining things. There you don't have to make any effort. A mind loves not to make any effort. It just loves not to make any effort. And when you're getting the taste of success just sitting in your room, sitting on your bed, why should you make any effort? And once the mind realizes here is something which in reality is abastu, which has no substance, it gets attached. Once it gets attached, but keeps chasing it. That's why we suffer. That's why there is an importance of studying scriptures. That's why there is an importance of being with masters. That's why there is an importance of being with saints. All these things. Because by your association with all this, your intellect becomes powerful. Once your intellect becomes powerful, you can goad the mind to stick to making efforts. Running after illusion doesn't require any effort. It's a very interesting thing. Very, very, very interesting thing. I don't read books about all these power of positivity and all those things. Never read any. I wonder if they have highlighted this particular point. The mind is actually a very stupid thing. So, if you can somehow make your intellect, that is buddhi, powerful, so powerful that it can understand the difference between real and the fake, then it can be forced to stay with the real and not run after the fake. What is fake in this world? Everything is a fake. Everything. That is what has been discussed. Anything that seems to follow the law of cause and effect, wherever there is causality, wherever you think there is causality, know that you will have casualty. Remember, causality and casualty, they are related. There's a slight difference. All our casualties in life, they are they are born because we believe in causality and we run after things that seem to follow the laws of causality. Once a person realizes that it's a mirage, it's a chimera, it's an illusion, it turns from there. Sour grapes. The fox was jumping, not getting the grapes, and said, "These are sour." Once you realize that this relation of cause and effect, which we have given so much of value, is a fake, mind returns from the entire world. Because you cannot say that this object is like this and that object is like that. And then what happens? You stop chasing illusions. You stop trying to become this and that. And then slowly, slowly, you get established in being what you are. This is being described in the next verse. Nivrittasya apravittasya nischalahi tadasati vishayasahi buddhanam tat samyam ajam advayam. When this mind is freed from all these illusions, all these attachments to external object, that means some kind of detachment has come. And undistracted by fresh objects, the problem in life is that when you get rejected by someone, for example, suppose you are trying for a job, you apply and you get the rejection slip. Then you go to some other place and you try there. Then you try again. Same with life. You lose your love and then you try for another love. You go for fresh objects, fresh objects. It's a never ending process. But once you have realized that this whole world is a chimera, the whole world is an illusion, then what happens? There's a complete detachment. And Prakriti, Mother Nature, she cannot supply you with fresh objects because every fresh object that is coming from the nature, you will know that it follows the law of cause and effect. It is under causality, and so you don't need it. Sorry, it's winter time, so it attains the state of immutability. Mind doesn't waver anymore. When will mind waver? Mind will waver when it feels that it can get something. But when you know that you cannot get anything from here, you will not be running after it. Your mind will not then undergo any kind of transformation. And that state is known as immutability. Sthiti becomes fixed, becomes permanent. The wise realize such a mind to be Brahman. This is what we have been discussing from the beginning. Pure mind, pure soul, and pure intellect. These are one and the same. These are Brahman. There is no difference between Atman and Buddhi. Just that Buddhi appears to be something different. Why? When it is moving, when it's chasing illusions, we call it Buddhi. When it's not chasing illusions, it's Atman. This has been very beautifully put in very simple words in yoga philosophy. We have these talks on yoga philosophy that chitta vritti nirodh. Tadadrastu swarupe avasthana. Once there is cessation of movement of the mind, you are what you are. Otherwise, you are one with your vritti. Actually, at the highest level, yoga philosophy and Vedanta philosophy, they are one. Just that yoga philosophy is understanding of Atman and understanding of Ishwara and Brahman. These are slightly skewed because it depends heavily on Sankhya philosophy. Otherwise, everything is same. And this is what Gaudapada's Karika is also telling. Mandukya Karika is telling the same thing what yoga philosophy says. So what is the truth? Truth is, either you treat everything as Brahman or you treat everything as an illusion other than Brahman. See this pen as manifestation of Brahman, or you see it as illusion, Maya. Don't see this pen as an object having a reality. So, some people have been talking about this Mayavad and Vigyanabad. No, it's all about your perception. Sometimes you will focus a lot on all this is illusion, and sometimes you will focus on all this is Brahman. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. This is one of those very famous statements from the Upanishads. All that is Brahman. Whatever you see is Brahman. There is nothing other than Brahman. The problem is that we are trained to think of things as objects with a reality. So, understanding becomes slightly skewed. So, Nibritasya pravittasya nishalai tadasati vishaya buddhanam tat samyam ajam advayam. And the wise realize that such a mind, which is not chasing illusions, and the whole world is an illusion. If you are seeing the whole thing as Brahman, why should you be running after anything? Because things do not exist. The existence of those things have evaporated because of Maya. Maya made certain aspects of Brahman look like objects. Now Maya is gone. So the objects are gone. Who will run? After whom? I tell you, Vedanta is an extremely fascinating truth. It shouldn't be treated as a philosophy. Vedanta is not a philosophy, it's truth. It's a fundamental truth of life. When the mind is like this oneness, pure consciousness, with no modification permitted, no transformation, no transmutation. This is Brahman. This is verse number 80. Actually, things are easy. We have covered so many difficult aspects, and things are much easy. And what's the nature of Atman? Verse number 81 says, Ajam anidram aswapnam prabhatam bhavati swayam sakrit vibhatu hi evaisha dharmo dhatu sabhavatah. And this Atman, this Buddhi, which we have been discussing, which does not undergo any transformation anymore. There is no Chitta Vritti anymore. All Chitta Vritti has have ceased to exist. That means there is no kind of movement, there is no transformation, no transmutation. It has become immutable. Then Ajam, Anidram, Aswapnam, Prabhatam Bhavati Swam, Sakrit Vibhatu Hi Evesa Dharmo Dhatu Svabhavata. Mandukya Karika is describing your nature, my nature, your reality, my reality. This Atman is being referred to here as Dharma. It is birthless, it's never born, dreamless, it never dreams, sleepless, that means it never goes in that state of Shushupti, deep sleep. Aswapnam is dream state, and Anidram here is sleepless, it doesn't sleep. And Prabhatam Bhavati Swam, reality reveals by itself. You don't require anything else to reveal its reality. Neither intellect is needed, nor someone's words are needed. It reveals by itself. When you get your realization, you know that you are realized. For this dharma, by its very nature, is self-luminous. Being self-luminous, when you get self-knowledge, you know that you have attained self-knowledge. And you know that it is beyond any kind of birth, beyond any kind of sleep, beyond any kind of dream. This is our nature, our true nature. The most important is it reveals by itself. Nothing can reveal it because it is itself. Nothing can reveal that it's me. I know it's me. There is one incident in which Mother Sarda Devi, Holy Mother Sarda Devi, for us, she is the mother of the universe. Once she was meditating and she lost her body consciousness. And then she called out to her companion, where are my hands? Where are my legs? Companion pointed out, here is your hand, here is your leg. But mind it, Holy Mother was not conscious of her hands and legs. She was conscious of her individuality. Your individuality, see, you may seem to forget that you have hands and you have legs. You may forget to remember your face, as Swamiji used to. He never remembered his face. But you'll never forget your I-ness. Because it is self-revealed. We don't know what happens when a person is in coma. Not yet. But once a person comes out of coma, first thing that he's aware of is I-ness. When a person goes into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, comes back, is conscious of himself, I-ness. This I-ness manifests in this world as mind, and once the mind stops transforming itself, you realize it. This is Atman, this is Brahman. Why doesn't everyone realize this? Such a wonderful thing. People should know a lot of bloodshed will stop in this world. A lot of wastage will stop. Mother Earth will smile again. We won't have to worry about environment. We won't have to worry about pollutions. Sukham avriyate nityam dukham vivriyate sada. Yasya kasya cha dharmasya grahena bhagwan aso. The problem is that in this creation, Atman, which is being referred to here as Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord appears in this world as mine, and so it gets covered by anything and everything. Translation says the Lord, Atman, becomes easily hidden because of attachment to any single object and revealed with great difficulty. Like you might have seen, there are some very good kids. There are some kids who are very good at playing hide and seek, particularly if it's a large house and there are excellent places to hide. They just hide. And it might be a difficult thing to seek them out. This great Lord Atman, everything is his own creation, and that's why it gets hidden very easily. And once it gets hidden, so difficult to reveal it. It is in the nature of Atman. When there is no creation, then this problem does not exist. But in this creation, a very serious problem. And this we also get in Kathopanishad. Parang shikhani vyatrinat swayambhu tasmat parang pashati na antaratman. This Atman is inside. And its connection with the senses are cut. Consequently, we always see the external world. And we don't even desire to see the inner one. And this is Maya. This this tendency of Atman to get covered, it actually doesn't hide. It gets covered. It gets covered very easily. And why it gets covered easily, we have no answer. Because that is its power. And that being its power, you cannot find an answer to it. It's known as Maya. Maya is a divine power. It gets so easily hidden. And because it gets easily hidden, we cannot know it. And once it gets hidden, although self revealing by nature, it can be revealed only by great difficulty. All our spiritual exercises, all spiritual efforts are intended towards that. So near, yet so far. Nothing can be nearer to us than our Atman. And yet, because we are ignorant, nothing is farther. Tad dure tadvantike. That is so far and yet so near. People who are willing to exercise extreme wisdom after learning of it from a truly wise person, enlightened person, can realize what is Atman, what is its nature, how it can be found. It can be found with great difficulty because you are that. Because you are that. And then Karika says that people misconceive the notion of Atman as it exists. It exists and does not exist. It exists not. It's a very beautiful verse. Asti nasti, asti nasti iti, nasti nasti iti, va punah, chala sthira ubhaya bhavai avrinotyeva balisha. Balish is an ignorant person. Stupid is a very strong word. Ignorant, balish. People who have not realized Atman as being the ultimate reality, Atman alone as being reality, etc., they perceive Atman variously as asti, nasti. Some say it exists, some say it does not exist. Some say it exists and does not exist, and some say it does not exist. So many different ideas. Some say it moves, some says it does not move, etc. The ignorant with their childish minds, polish, childish minds, stupidity, verily cover Atman by predicating of it such attributes as existence, non-existence, existence and non-existence. Non-existence. Four types are being mentioned here. That is total non-existence. Deriving these characteristics from the notions of change, immovability, combination of change and immovability, and absolute negation, which they associate with Atman. So, different philosophers, different schools of philosophy attach different characteristics to Atman. Something that it moves, something it doesn't move, something that it moves and it moves not, etc. And so we have four different kinds of outlook for Atman. One is it exists, another is it does not exist. Third is it exists and it does not exist. And lastly, it definitely does not exist. The first one, it exists, come from a Vaishesik school of thought, which is one of the Vedic school of thought. And they think that Atman is associated with everything. And because things transform, so Atman also transforms. So Atman exists, but it is kind of associated with mind. Mind changes, so Atman also changes. That's their view. And then there is, says Vainashik, the word for Buddhists, they say that it does not exist. Kshanika Vijnana, it says. Their Karika addresses them as Vaina, Ardha Vainashik. Vainashik. And third is Ardha Vainashik. Ardha Vainashik are the Jains who say that it exists and it does not exist. And lastly, we have Shunyavadin, which will say that no, it does not exist. Because if you ask me at a personal level, it's so difficult. I mean, if you read the biography of Sri Ramakrishna in detail, in English we have this great master of Sri Ramakrishna. One thing you realize that you may become spiritual. Becoming spiritual may not be very difficult, but realizing the supreme truth as Atman alone exists may not be possible for you. But more serious problem is you don't even want it. For example, there is someone who is a devotee of Lord Vishnu. There is someone who is a devotee of Lord Krishna. They do not want this Atmagyan. For them, if they can be one with Lord Krishna, that is more than enough. If they can be the servant of Lord Krishna, that's enough for them. They don't want anything more. Now, if you don't want anything more, how can you even strive for it? If you do not strive for it, how will you attain it? So there is this problem. This problem is there. Existence and non existence, if you take these two criteria, then Atman can be categorized into four. Karika says that these approaches are childish. Of course, Vedanta is addressed by its critics in far more severe terms. And when does a person come out of this ignorance? When does a person become mature as far as Vedanta is concerned? Kotis chatasra etasru grahyasam sadavrita Bhagwan avir asprishto yena drishta sarvadrik. Once you reach that level of detachment, translations, these are the four theories regarding Atman, through attachment to which it always remains hidden from one's views. He who knows the Lord to be untouched by them indeed knows it. Once you realize that these four categories by different schools of philosophy, depending on four different kinds of attachment, once you realize that truth, you realize that Atman, the Supreme Lord, it never gets touched by these characteristics. And once you realize that these are not, Atman is not touched, you are a Sarvagya, you are Sarvadrik. You know the truth. You have realized the truth. You can see the truth. Ultimately, whenever whenever you come across the theory of self, you will meet one of these four categories. There is no fifth. It exists, but changeable. It does not exist. It exists and it does not exist. And it exists not. Certain properties, certain characteristics are superimposed on Atman, and that's why things are seen that way. And once you realize that Atman cannot be associated with any such change or any such negation, then you become knower of Atman. That means you have realized the Supreme. Now you know the truth. Prapya sarvagyatam krishnam brahmanyam padam advayam anapanna adi madhyantam kimata param ihate. Actually, these verses are straight and simple. There's no complication, so we don't even need to explain them much. What else remains to be desired by him who has attained the state of the Brahman, a state of complete omniscience and non duality, which is without beginning, middle, or end? Life has a beginning, life has a middle, life has an end. Every object in this universe has a beginning, has a middle, and an end. But once you realize that Atman, the supreme reality, the pure consciousness, it does not undergo any such change. More importantly, it does not get touched by such changes. Neither it undergoes those changes, nor it is touched by those changes. You know Brahman. And once you know Brahman, what else remains to be desired by you? All illusions have vanished. There is no more no, any illusion. Why should you be running after any illusion? Let me tell you a personal experience. It's childish, but I never forgot it. Long ago, I had a very vivid dream. Many years ago, maybe 20-25 years ago. And I felt that I'm surrounded by huge creatures, and they're not violent, but huge creatures. In fact, they are kind of godly. And I did not know how to go beyond it, how to cross it. And suddenly I found that somebody gave me a bow and arrows, said, shoot at them. And I started shooting. And once I started shooting, I realized that each of those figures, they were just like posters which were falling down from heights. I won't say sky, but heights. One arrow, one poster down. Another arrow, another poster down. Now, the impression left by this dream, that has never left me. Now, I am not a person who will give too much of value to such dreams. It means nothing. I mean, it's just, or might be I was reading something in those days, created that dream, or it might be an indicator of something. But what is very interesting is that what we are discussing here, these are all illusions. You don't need too many arrows to shoot them. You just need one arrow to shoot them down. And the arrow is, there is no causality. There is no cause and effect relationship. You are not a witness to anything. How can you be a witness to anything? You are what you are, because there is nothing to witness. If there is nothing to witness, what will you witness? So this is what verse number 84 says. And from there comes to verse 85, which says that once you have realized that the four categories are described, these are just not possible. So you become established in the knowledge of Brahman. Like those posters I described falling away. What remains? Nothing. It's all free. Only you exist. You move on. I never saw the person who was with me there. So it's a very interesting dream. Oh, people who get such fascinating dreams, like I've been extremely lucky not to have nightmare ever in my life. Maybe when I was a kid, probably I saw, but I had more nightmares in life. You can say daymares, but in dreams, no, I never. Actually, it's all illusion. It's all illusion. And you can shoot it down, either one by one, or if you take up the philosophy at one go. Viprana vinayo yesa sama prakrita uchyate dama prakritir adanta prakritir dantatvat evam vidwan shamam vrajet. We find in our spiritual literature that a person who is considered to be a noble person, a gentleman, he has to have certain qualities like humility, self control, mind control, etc. And verse number 86 is beautifully that. Once a person has realized that he is Brahman, once a person realizes that he has nothing to achieve in this world, why? Because there is nothing. He automatically becomes humble. His senses come under control. His organs come under control. Verse number 86 says, the humility, Vinaya of the Brahmins is natural. Here, Brahmin means one who is established in the knowledge of Brahman. Their tranquility is also natural, Shama. Their senses, they don't go screaming around, they don't go screaming after objects. Further, The control of the senses, these organs, comes natural to them. Shama, Dhamma, these have been defined variously. Shama is the control of five senses, and Dhamma is five organs. Comes natural to them automatically. When you know that there is nothing to run after, the control will come automatically. He who has realized Brahman attains peace. You want peace in life. Simple thing. Know who you are and you will have peace. All your disturbance, all pain in life, these are all caused simply because we don't know who we are. And because we don't know who we are continuously trying to become something. And once we try to become something, there is pain, there is suffering, there is misery. So, so much about illusions. And it was described what is illusion, why we run after illusions, what is detachment, and what happens when you get detached. Now, from verse number 87, the discussion changes, the type of discussion itself changes. Says, स वस्तु सोपलम्बं च द्वयं लौकिकम इष्यते अवस्तु सोपलम्बं च शुद्धम लौकिकम इष्यते. Verse number 87 is so interesting that you may not even agree to it. Says, this Vedanta which we are discussing, it recognizes the ordinary state of waking, that is in which we are, in which duality consisting of objects and the idea of coming in contact with them. So there are objects. Here is this pen. Waking state says that this is pen, and my senses get identified with this pen. We accept that. It's admitted. It also recognizes a purer, ordinary state. Purer. I'll explain. Which is dream state, in which is experienced duality consisting of objects and the idea of coming in contact with them, though such objects do not exist. This is so difficult. I tell you, when I first read this, I was kind of startled. Use any other word. It says that when we dream something and then we wake up and we realize, oh, it was just a dream. We always say, oh, it was just a dream. But Karika says just the reverse. It says waking state is inferior. Why? Because there's an association of your mind with an idea, and there's an association of your mind with objects too, although objects do not exist. In in dream state, at least, you have association only with the idea because no objects exist. So, dream is actually a purer state of existence. Oh God, it can be frightening. It can be frightening. Vedanta can be frightening for people. And when you go to the dreamless state, even those ideas merge. It's a far purer state of existence. In the beginning, when we were discussing the three states, then it was kind of explained for us. Surprisingly, if you talk to dream experts, if you talk to neurologists, they will put dream as the worst, dreamless as better, and waking as the best. Because whatever theories they have to offer, whatever they want to teach us, they will have to teach us through the waking state. So, waking state is superior. However, as for Karika, Karika says, waking state is terrible because not only that your mind is getting attached to ideas, it's also getting to objects which do not exist in reality, as per the discussions that we had. And dream state is purer because at least you don't perceive objects. And the dreamless state is far superior because even the ideas merge into one single ignorance. It's not an it's not a state of enlightenment, it's a state of ignorance. The words here, like Lokik, etc., they are used to explain that. This world, you are not only attached with ideas, you are also attached with the objects. And the objects which do not exist. So kind of there is double illusion. Illusion of the ideas, illusion of objects. And verse number 88 says, वस्तु अनुपलम्बम च लोकोत्तरमिति स्मृतम ज्ञानम ज्ञेयम च विज्ञेयम सदा बुद्धे प्रकृतितम. Lokottar. Lok is this world. Superior to this lok, superior to this world is that state where you are not with the ideas or with the objects. The wise recognize another state in which there exist neither objects nor ideas regarding them. This state is beyond all imperial experiences. So you cannot know. It appears to be a state of nothingness, but ignorance exists there. They describe the three knowledge, the objects of knowledge, that is, the three states, and the supremely knowable, that is, ultimate reality. So, three kinds of reality. Gyata, Gyeya, Gyan. The learned, the wise, they talk about the three things. Three things which, according to verse number 88, there is the object of knowledge, the three states through which we know, and the supreme knowable, that is the ultimate reality. These three things need discussion. This we will discuss in the next class because it demands a discussion. Just subject is introduced. This we will discuss in detail. Thank you so much. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.